The other thing was about Oblivion, but I have my own opinions about that thing.
Yeah, I think that I don't know why you're so grumpy about Oblivion.
Go ahead.
It's a remaster. It's only $50, which is cheap in modern game prices, and compared to Resident Evil or Silent Hill, it's fine. I don't know why you're grumpy pants about it.
I think the issue for me with Oblivion is that, unlike those other comparisons that you gave, like Silent Hill or Resident Evil, there really weren't any type of modding communities, quite frankly, that were kind of keeping those games kind of fresh and hip and different in terms of trying to improve the graphical capabilities or fidelity or anything like that.
Is there something like that for Oblivion? Is there graphic overhauls?
There's a lot of mods that can be able to do that for Oblivion. Okay,
because I know Skyrim has a ton of that, but I don't know anything about Oblivion.
Skyrim's got a lot. Oblivion also has, I think it was Nexus Mods is the place where most people went to, and it can go all the way back to Morrowind. I'm not really certain about like Daggerfall or Arena prior to that, but this is kind of there was some rumor that supposedly Bethesda was working on stuff, but this is really a complete middle of the night, out of the dark type of thing with the way they dropped it, where they're like, oh, we have this remaster upgrade, whatever they want to call it, of Oblivion, and it's coming out right when we're done with this presentation, and everybody went flocking to it, and I was kind of looking at it going like, wow, Cyrodiil's become very brown and drab and kind of dreary looking compared to like the vibrancy of the colors I remember, from beforehand, which, I mean, I still play it, and it just looked very, when I was watching somebody else playing with it, it's just like, that's kind of yucky looking. And then the additional information saying that they really didn't do much changes to the gameplay itself.
I've heard that as a positive, though. It's funny that you're saying that, because everyone I've seen online talking about it is like, thank God they didn't with the gameplay and try to modernize it. They didn't fix the bugs. They didn't fix this stuff. They tweaked some like leveling stuff, possibly.
Some of the leveling, but otherwise it's pretty much very similar play-wise to the original game, which then I'm thinking to myself, well, you could have just gotten a bunch of mod packs for it and improved the graphics, and that would have been it.
Again, though, most users don't want to fuck with mods.
Well,
this is everything, including the DLC, upgraded with HD graphics,
with the horse armor.
It's got everything included, and you don't have to do anything but hit install. I mean, like Nexus mods are fun, but I wouldn't say they're advanced, but it's more than just hitting play to get Nexus mods to work. Because I've used Nexus mod for Fallout Vegas, New Vegas, and Fallout 4. I've used it, and it's straightforward enough, but it's not just hit play.
There's more work to be done, which I agree. But if people have been playing a lot of people that have been playing these games for a long time consistently, they probably would have done the mods. But I feel like a lot of this stuff is kind of geared towards more people that like played it years ago and hadn't touched it since, and now are able to be like, oh, I remember this game, and I'll get
and also new players. Now new players who can play it for the first time. Like, that's a big market. Especially people who enjoyed Skyrim, and there isn't going to be Skyrim's or Elder Scrolls 6 for like 20 more years. This is something in the same vein that people can. Come on, it's not. We are not the market anymore. We're not 20-year-old men.
The old farts are not the market anymore.
We're 40-year-old men. We don't
just
qualify.
To have the disposable income to pay for it.
Alex, God, you've turned into such an old man. How did this happen? This has been
I got old.
This is the complaint that people have been making about people over 40 forever, is that, yes, this is where the disposable income shows up, but your disposable income is going towards your kids.
Yes, and more discretionary.
Yes, and that's why you don't matter anymore to a lot of media manufacturers.
I guess I'm not the modern audience, as they always talk about.
I'm the one who's got the disposable income, no kids, nothing to live for.
The dual air fryers.
The dual air fryers.
This guy, and nobody knew about this. This guy is rolling with 2 side-by-side
I got
air fryers
one
in his apartment.
One for protein, one for veggie.
Because the man cannot wait to make proteins and then move on to veggies.
I don't want my meat to get cold or my vegetables to get cold. I want to have a nice warm meal. And plus, it's like...
We should make that as a wallpaper.
The picture of my 2 air fryers?
I don't want my meat to get cold, my veggies to get cold.
Hey, I could, if I had 3, that would probably be perfect. That would be, because then I kind of have to split my time for vegetables. I have to put 2 vegetables in the same air fryer while the meat's going. I would prefer an air fryer for each item.
So you want 3?
Yeah, so 2 vegetables and meat.
2 vegetables and meat. Okay. Can you do anything with fruit in an air fryer? Or would that be a little too scary to try?
There's nothing that would stop you, but I don't know what you would use it for fruit. I've done tofu in it. Cut up a bunch of tofu with some olive oil and maybe some what's the powder? The crunchy powder, not corn.
Panko?
No, I don't remember what it is, but mix it up, make it crunchy, and put it in with a salad, or have it with like make some kind of Asian dish. So it all.
I just thought though with the air fryer you could, I don't know, it would be more of a dehydrator thing, but I was thinking like maybe like banana chips.
Yeah, I don't think you can. It's not a dehydrator. No, that wouldn't work. Fine. Let's see. Banana chips air fryer. Wait a second. It suggested. Oh my goodness.
Hey, look at that.
Perfectly dehydrated so they get nice and crisp. Hey. Well, you know what? I'll report back next week.
The weekend's coming up.
and let you know if you guys have an air fryer.
We have that Ninja thing, which is like the fryer, steamer, pressure cooker, all in one type of thing.
I thought your wife air fried broccoli when I was there one time.
She did, yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it kind of does everything. It's got like 6 or 8 different types of
different settings
things it can do. Yeah. So we enjoy that quite a bit.
1 hour later.
So Brendan, have you been able to take a look and see that Nintendo's coming up with another Switch called the Switch 2?
I have heard this. I think that is very poorly named. Because at least when they did the Wii and the Wii U, they were and iterated on an existing console. They did something different for the naming. To just do a boring ass number that's Sony tier.
It is Sony tier. I would have to say though, in Sony's defense in that matter, that at least the PlayStation 2 looked different from the PlayStation 1 when they named it. This is just basically, I don't know, if you were to put them side by side and have to ask like, okay, bunch of parents that are going to buy them for their kids for Christmas.
Bunch of parents, sure.
What's the difference? They'd probably be kind of hard pressed to answer that. And I do remember that the Wii U did have trouble trying to find a stable market of buyers.
I think the Wii U was kind of a failure, as I recall.
It was a pretty big failure because I think the major focus of that one compared to the original Wii was that this one actually had like a handheld screen controller that looked similar to like I would say it was kind of like a Game Gear almost, or it was basically a prototype for what the Switch became.
Yeah, and
the actual physical console itself looked very close to that of the Wii. So many people, I think, come holiday season or birthdays to buy these, were just like, what do you mean I have to get a new console? Like this, I thought it was just this add-on device that would work for it, and it was a completely different type of situation.
Okay, so I was going to ask you, does this come with an OLED screen by default? And no, it does not.
No.
It's a LCD.
It will eventually, because we all know that's kind of the thing now for pretty much all companies across the board, is that they come out with the regular model, and then within like a 2-year span, there's like this refresh where they give you something different. It was this same situation with the original Switch, where they had like the Switch, and then they had the Switch Lite, and then I think after that they came out with an OLED model afterwards.
Right.
But I believe this one is able to do 4K.
Yep.
As opposed to the original one that was 1080p.
Well, yeah, and you have your trade-off for FPS, and the handheld mode is a 1080 screen, so you're locked to 1920 by 1080 for the HD for the screen.
Right. They do give you a much beefier storage off the bat, which is 256 gigs. I think the original one was maybe 64 or something like that. It was a much smaller amount. And the reason for that, as I'm finding out, is the older cartridges for the Switch 1 cartridges had the game on the cartridge when you would play it. These ones are going to be handled a little bit differently. They are considered, there's a special term that they're using for it, which is like game key, I believe, where it sounds like when you put the cartridge into your system, it then prompts you to go and digitally download the game, and then it'll use that game key in a way to verify that game, almost like it's like an activation key, like some sort of DRM in a sense. So I think that has something to do with why they're giving you much bigger storage. There's probably also going to be a lot more, the games are going to be bigger also.
That's pretty dumb.
It is, in my opinion, and it's kind of a shitty move on behalf of Nintendo, in my opinion, because we've always liked Nintendo. But this is,
I like Nintendo out of nostalgia, but I would not say that I've been a fan of Nintendo for a long time.
I like a lot of their IPs.
Yes, Nintendo as a company
are very kind of backwards, typical Japanese.
They're very draconian. Like, it's funny how some of these Japanese video game and, let's say, entertainment companies have gone from being completely apathetic towards their IPs and towards their old games and old products, where nobody saved source code, there was no archival process for half of this shit, and then suddenly it's like, no, this is all super important, and don't do that. Only I can do that. You can't do that. Stop, everybody stop. I'm kind of like, in a way, I'm kind of like, off Nintendo. You guys are a bunch of dicks. I'm not really into them as a company anymore. And this is like, this is murdering game archival in the future. So all of your there will never be retro gaming for Nintendo going forward.
Right.
Nobody will be going to the stores to buy a game key card.
Yeah, because it's kind of like because it's sort of like a CD key back in the day, where it's like it's kind of stuck with that particular copy of the game.
Well, it's like when people bought Fallout 76 on physical copy, and it had a paper cutout on the inside.
And there was a video of the guy having a flipping out in the store that he can't return, which stupidly, you couldn't return video.
You couldn't return video games to stores for a long, I remember it was Best Buy. You couldn't return PC games once they were open. So.
Yeah. And what's interesting about this thing too is that after you download the game, you can play, but there's this bottom portion there that says that an internet connection is required when you launch it for the first time, but not afterwards. So it's basically going to, I guess, go and verify the copy of the game through Nintendo servers, almost like it's, like I said, DRM. But afterwards, you don't have to do that anymore. But it's still kind of a crummy thing that you have to be doing this, requirement in order to play it.
I think the bigger issue is the fact that there's not an actual game on the card.
Right.
That's the bigger issue, is that it has to download it from a Nintendo server who knows how long that'll be around. Like, what is the obligation to Nintendo to maintain the viability of this card?
Right. And this system to begin with also. I'm wondering also then that maybe this kind of plays into how they were saying that, you know, you can share a single game with like up to 3 other people locally or something like that. So you can all play, you know, Mario Kart together instead of having to have your own copies and stuff. And, you know, I remember back in the day, being as old as we are, that we used to just sit around your apartment playing Halo on your TV, and, you know, we all got to play the same game. Now there's this thing about how everybody has to have their own copy and stuff, and this is kind of maybe skirting around that issue in a sense when you're trying to play with other people and stuff. But I still find it kind of odd that they're making somebody jump through all these hoops, and it's a crummy business practice, like we said. The game key card, though, I think it's also, I don't know if it's for every game, because it is going to cost more than just the digital copy. So I'm wondering if there's going to be 2 different types of game key cards.
Wait,
because they were showing the prices for some of the games and saying, well, if you get the digital version, it's this. If there's a physical version, it's like $10 more.
Right. But like, aren't they all digital?
That's the thing. I wonder if some of them are and some of them aren't.
Well, it sounds so that you think that there will be cards that have the game on the card and it plays off the card?
Yeah, because I wonder, maybe that's what that little symbol then is. Like, it has, game keys are different from regular cards because they don't contain the full game and say the game key. So I'm wondering if that's sort of the thing where it's 2 different things, which is even more of a confusing headache for people. Because I know they were saying that when what they're going to be doing also is that your Switch 1 games, like Breath of Fire, or not, I'm sorry, not Breath of Fire, wow, Breath of the Wild, you can purchase some sort of like HD upgrade package for it so it can work on the Switch.
There will be, well, it's actually that. Let's not look at Google's AI answers. Have found to at least be 50% wrong.
Okay.
Like I've done things and read it, and then the very first actual result disproves what Google's synopsis is, which is hilarious that it's that bad. List of all Nintendo Switch 2 games with a game key release. So, okay, so it isn't going to be everything.
Okay. So it's certain games.
Which I wonder if it's something because they can't fit it onto the card, you know?
Mm-hmm. A true physical release, Cyberpunk 2077.
Huh.
So they can put Cyberpunk on an actual physical card, but I wonder how they're gonna, what the graphics on that are going to end up looking.
Mario Kart World and Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom should be standard releases as well. And Guardians of Azuma
cartridge.
Okay, so it's possible that there will be a mix, which makes things, yes, very confusing. It's just, I would say that part of consoles to me is that they've been keeping physical media alive for so long that I am not excited to see that go away because it basically invalidates consoles going forward.
Right.
There will be no real purpose to what it'll turn into is that people will sell consoles and be like, these are the games installed. And it's sort of like, I think there are people who sell PS3s that have PT installed still.
They do, yeah.
That it's like,
they've never like hooked it up to the internet or something like that.
Right, exactly. So it's like, it's the only way you can play PT still. It'll turn into that where my PS8 has these games installed and this one's really rare.
And well, with that, it's you know, every new generation, I think when they were coming with like the PS5 and the Xbox Series S, I guess that's what it's called now, that there was I don't know about the Xbox, but I know like the PS5 had the disc drive and non-disc drive versions And it's kind of like how even the consoles themselves are kind of moving into a diskless universe, almost like it's like a Steam box in a sense.
Right.
But you're going to need a lot of storage room for that, just because the physical media discs, they can only hold X amount of data on them for the game.
So the other problem with the Switch 2 games is that everyone was scared about Rockstar pushing the $90, $100 price tag with Grand Theft Auto 6.
And here comes Mario.
It turns out it's your best buddy Nintendo who showed up to fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny, and that's another hilarious part to me, where it's like everyone was saying, "Oh, Rockstar's gonna like pull the rug out from under us and screw everyone over," and then Mario and Luigi pop in with the lube and the I don't know,
Yoshi's tongue.
And Yoshi's tongue, ready to like bend you over because.
Yeah. Well, now that they're the ones who basically have kind of, I guess, set that new bar. It basically gives Rockstar, I would say, maybe the green light to kind of go ahead and do that. And I don't think that they would be getting as much grief if they were to do that, as opposed to,
because there's so many,
70 to 100 like we were waiting for it.
Well, there's so many Nintendo fanboys who are now defending this move that now Rockstar has total carte blanche to charge whatever the f- they want.
Right. Exactly.
Because the precedent has been set. And Nintendo fanboys want it and can't wait to have it. So
yeah, and I think even
vote with your wallet, everybody.
Right? Yeah.
If you actually care about this. I don't have a horse in this race whatsoever. But if you actually care about this shit, don't buy it. That's the only way that makes a difference to corporations.
Right.
Losing money.
Right. And if you do want to buy it, wait for it to go on a very steep price cut on sale, because we've seen so many games. Hi, my name is Alex. Hi, Alex. I bought
Alex.
Starfield.
Yeah. Well, you pre-ordered Starfield and you pre-ordered Cyberpunk 2077? 3077?
Yeah.
What year is that game? No, was it 2077?
2077, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Which I guess I'm 1 for 2 in that one, retrospectively.
Well, eventually
Cyberpunk did fix that thing, but Starfield, with them working on, the big Oblivion graphical overhaul, re-release, remaster thing, and no word on the horizon of Starfield, we kind of know that they're working on Elder Scrolls 6. I don't think that thing's going to be really touched. Even though they have like 800 people working at Bethesda, but who knows?
Bethesda didn't develop the remaster of
I know, but
Oblivion.
in terms of what type of projects they have on the docket, not directly, but kind of like that they are focusing. They basically were like.
I just mean that none of the developers that worked on Starfield worked on they have plenty of people around. All that was some producer being like, yeah, that's fine. You had a team of oversight, but the development was somewhat outsourced. So they really have no excuse to be doing so poorly with that game.
Yeah, that's true. But anyways, they I wouldn't be surprised if Rockstar, I think they were going to do that, and the $100, and I kind of feel like that's going to be definitely a lot of online play, as opposed to just a standalone single player. I don't know where I went with that, but yeah. Anyways,
wait, are you talking about Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah, GTA 6.
Oh, okay. I was,
or was it 5? GTA 6. Yeah. 6, yeah. Elder Scrolls 6, GTA 6. Okay. But yeah, that's kind of where they're focusing.
Time will tell if this. Well, it doesn't matter. They're not going to be shipping Switch 2s to the United States anyway. So it makes it.
Although
really
they release
easy.
them like next month or June.
Did they change? Did they rescind that because the tariffs I can't. I'll put it this way: I can't keep up with what tariffs are doing.
Yeah,
it's like it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down.
It's like the stock
Nobody knows
market.
what it's going to do.
There's a stock market for the tariffs. I think Nintendo said that the price for the Switch 2 was irrelevant of what the tariffs were going to be. So, and then
Well, it was
I think they're
irrelevant
still
about-
going in June.
But they were saying the shipments had been canceled, or pre-orders had been canceled.
Pre-orders they were basically they were trying to make as many units as possible available for the launch date, unlike Nvidia.
They restarted pre-orders 5 hours ago.
Oh,
It actually,
April 23rd.
yeah, it Switch 2 is nearly. This is an article from Tech Radar. Okay, so it's a real website. Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders live. U.S. stock goes live tomorrow. All the best links and retailers to check. Blah 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 blah.
So if you had a pre-order, your pre-order is now.
No, you couldn't make pre-orders.
Oh, you couldn't make pre-orders.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nintendo stopped pre-orders because of Trump's tariffs.
Okay.
And then they were like, we'll get back to you. Americans will get back to you. And then I guess they got back to us. So
Okay. So they're starting it tomorrow on the
there we go.
24th.
Everybody can.
Or whenever this episode goes up.
Hey, you know what?
You can get them.
Maybe I'll order an original Switch. I've always wanted to play Breath of the Wild, and maybe it's time.
Yeah, and I mean, it's fine getting there's still a lot of those units around. And you can always buy a lot of the games used that fully come on those cartridges. So yeah, I mean, I still think there's some longevity to that. Really it comes down to, at the end of the day, like, yeah, the technology and hardware is fine, but I think it also speaks volumes about the type of games that are available for those particular consoles, specifically like the first party support ones. So yeah. But moving on from that, Bungie's back in the news, and they've got a new game coming out. It's not Halo, and it's not Destiny.
Well, it's definitely not Halo. Halo is not a Bungie game anymore.
True. Well, maybe they can say like Halo with like 2 O's.
Can I say that Bungie
Yeah.
dropping Halo has been bad for
The industry.
Bungie and Microsoft?
Yes.
Like Bungie's career path basically Microsoft's output for the Xbox and made Bungie this rudderless, aimless, directionless studio that kind of had mixed success with Destiny and Destiny 2, but never got to the same level as if they had made. And I get wanting to do new things.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Yeah.
But I feel like they were in a good position with Microsoft, and they could have, I think you could have negotiated like one for you, one for them situation where we'll do Halo 4, but after that we get to make whatever we want, and then we'll do Halo 5.
Yeah, and I feel like towards the end they had gotten that amount of power where they could have done something like that, where they're
even if they had gone independent still,
right,
and then but still like retained Halo and said we'll continue making games for Microsoft.
Yeah. But it's unfortunate that they basically relinquished it, and then Microsoft was like, here's 343, which then we've now renamed to Halo Studios, and all they do is Halo, but it's
they haven't. Halo Studios hasn't made anything yet.
I know, but that's kind of what they're basically at. They're just like it's a studio with an IP name.
I mean, I think that
we're Star Wars, the
Star Wars,
film
the studio,
company,
Star Wars Incorporated.
Star Wars Inc.
Yeah, when you put it that way, it does sound really ridiculous.
Yeah. I know they're cooking something there, but I mean,
okay. So just really quick, Halo 4. I actually enjoyed Halo 4. I thought it was fine, but it was fine because it was a very minor update to, what was that, Reach? So it was like a lot of the same feel as Reach.
Reachy feels, yeah.
But a little bit gloss of paint, new character stuff going on, new bad guy going on. Like, okay, that's fine. Where everything fell apart was Halo 5, when it was the multiple team members, and I think Master Chief wasn't even around much. It was the same mistake they made with Halo 2, where nobody wanted to play as the Arbiter.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, what the how many levels do I have to play as this guy? I just
I
want to be Master Chief.
Too. Yeah, it was very jarring. Yeah, especially after that, like that battle with the Scarab.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you're like, I want more of that. Now I'm running through some like cult faction all cloaked up in crap. And I'm like,
it's the usual thing where it's the Earth levels tend to be the best ones. I mean, even like my favorite game, Half-Life, all of the stuff in the office and in Black Mesa is chef's kiss. Then you get to the alien world and it's like a brick wall. And you think, all right, how many levels do I... Okay, there's only 3 levels of this, and then the game's over. Okay, fine.
Yeah, I have to slog through it. Yeah,
but it's the urban combat in Halo 2 was the best part.
Yeah, That I feel like that statement is something that I have issues with sometimes. I think a lot of other people do whenever they have to play they want to try to replay a game that they haven't touched for a long time, and then they start reminiscing about like, oh crap, yeah, this part. Like I know a lot of people have the issue with like, where did they go? Was it Cuba or Puerto Rico? There's some section of Red Dead 2 where you're like stuck on like some island and you're like in prison, you're trying to escape or something.
Oh,
like
Red
that.
Dead 2, yeah.
Yeah, it really takes you out of the game. People are like, just get me back to like, the old West and stuff like that. But the reason we were talking about Bungie is that Bungie is back in the news because they are back with a new IP. Not really, kind of. It is Marathon, which was an original first-person shooter that they had developed for Macintosh back in the 90s. And I think they had 2 or 3 games in that series.
Yeah.
Previously.
And I highly recommend anyone interested in the original Marathon games to go watch the Mandalore gaming summaries of those games because I felt like I was watching some kind of really intense political thriller that I didn't really understand because it is a complicated narrative. And I don't think I would ever make it through playing the game and understanding what was happening. So it's very good to get a handle on what those games were about.
Right. So Bungie happens to own the name of Marathon, and they're going to be bringing back Marathon, not as a single player experience, but this is rather going to be a hero-based extraction shooter, which I believe you have you can have a 3-man team similar to some other extraction shooters that are out there on the market now. I played one of them called Delta Force, and I don't play it anymore. But the thing that took away people about this right off the bat was in the announcement trailer or teaser trailers, whatever they want to call these things now, which was a very big cyberpunk-like feel to it, but then also a lot of Neil Blomkamp type of influence.
Like mechanical design?
Yeah, which is funny because Blomkamp is working with another development studio working on a different extraction shooter game kind of set within the same world. And that one, I played like a few rounds of that one. I can't recall what it was, but it felt very Elysium-like. So when people saw this, they were kind of saying, yeah, this is kind of Elysium-ish. The art, I would have to say that the art style is probably the most noticeable thing about this, because watching the gameplay here, I mean, it's not much different than any other, online shooter that everybody has been playing for a while now.
Specifically, though, it's Bungie. Like, it looks like a Bungie game, and that was one thing, because we play... I think you played more of it, but we played Destiny 2 together a little bit, and I remember thinking, oh, it's Halo. Like, this just looks and feels like Halo. Yeah, it's and this watching this gameplay, and I don't know. There's an intangible je ne sais quoi to Bungie games where I look at this and think, yeah, that looks like Halo, even though it doesn't look like Halo. It looks like Halo. Yeah,
yeah. So it was met with very mixed, very, very mixed responses. And yeah, more, I think, in the negative portion than the positive. I think a lot of that was also coming from people that had been playing Destiny 2 for a long time, in which Destiny has kind of become almost like it's still supported, but it's not like, it definitely there's not a focus of improving that game and such like that. And there's been some different mechanics overhauls and things like that people have not been very pleased about it. So it does seem like while Bungie has gone on and said, oh yeah, we're still going to be supporting Destiny and doing stuff in the years to come, with this being another type of online shooter from Bungie, it does look like majority of those resources are going to be going to this. However, in terms of how this pans out for them, only time will tell. They're entering a new genre that's kind of trying to take over the battle royale games, which extraction shooters, they haven't been very, effective in trying to unseat the battle royale group.
So what's an extraction shooter?
So basically an extraction shooter is, as opposed to battle royale where you just send everybody in there to be, last man standing, similar to like PUBG or Fortnite or Apex.
What's an extraction shooter?
Extraction shooter is basically you go into usually they tend to be like 3-man teams. So you go into a map, you're sent there to find particular main item for that mission, along with any type of loot that you can get. And then you have to leave before the timer ends for you to be able to get out of there, like Tarkov. But with extraction shooters, you also are going to be facing against other teams that are in that match trying to do the same thing you can. And there's also the in-match opponent NPCs that are trying. So it's sort of like PvP VE in a sense.
Got it.
So sometimes you can kind of, you're not able to leave before you do something in the particular mission, or you can get what you need and leave whenever you want. The biggest thing is that whenever you get those items, you can put them in your stash afterwards. But if you go into a match and find items or bring items on yourself, once you're killed in that match, you lose all those items. So unless you get like a security, like insurance of some sort to not lose those.
So for me, it's the bigger issue with this game. I kind of dig the neon digital cyberpunk style. I that doesn't bother me. I kind of like it. This games as a service game. It's just like, because this isn't even free to play, but I don't want to play a competitive game. And I know that it's just because I'm an old man and none of this like we were talking about earlier, I'm culturally irrelevant. But I want to play a single player. If this was a single player game, I would be hyped. I would be like, let me. Oh, this looks really fun. I'm curious. You have piqued my interest, Bungie, by making a real first-person shooter that's a single-player experience again.
Yeah.
But instead, I just see this is just like a coat of paint over fucking Fortnite or whatever.
and it is good. You just brought up the point that it's not free to play, which is something that's very different from a lot of other games. Tarkov, you do have to buy the game and stuff like that. But a lot of the other games that are similar to this, they're free to play, and you can kind of, expand your loot and your equipment to a certain point until you're kind of hitting that cap, and then you kind of have to buy additional things, or you can get these kind of like advancement packs to kind of give yourself better equipment, weapons, and things like that. But those are all optional. This is kind of a surprising thing because it's like, oh yeah, you need to actually buy this game, and then it's like, well, if you're buying a game as a service, like we were saying with like Nintendo earlier and their support for the games and the servers, how long is this going to be until it's kind of like, yeah, it didn't work out, guys, sorry.
I don't think that it's destined to a fate like Concord or anything like that. I think that Bungie's too big of a name to be that much of a catastrophe.
Right.
But I would not be surprised to see this game drop users in the span of 18 months, let's say,
Yeah.
where you start off real okay, maybe build up an audience, but if it doesn't do anything special, I think that in the span of a year and a half, it won't matter if it's supported or not, because you won't be able to find much of a matchmaking.
Yeah,
situation.
I would say probably that 18 to 24 months is probably a good estimation of the initial. Can we be stable? Can we build upon this? Have we got a good foothold in the genre? Because a lot of these types of games and games in general, they've been in your early access, quote unquote, status for years and years, and it just seems like they never get out of that. And then to top it off, this is made by Bungie. Bungie does have that pedigree of solid first-person shooter gameplay, but a lot of that pedigree was built by individuals that have not been with the company for a very long time. So it's interesting to see where the current leadership is going to go with this game, considering that nobody's honestly been talking about Destiny itself for quite some time now. So maybe they're just trying to switch gears and try something new. Hopefully it'll work out for them. The other thing that I'm sorry to interrupt, but the other thing I also, since they were with Microsoft, I completely forgot the fact that they ended up getting purchased by Sony afterwards.
Yeah, and Sony is not happy with their performance.
No, not at all. So maybe this might possibly be Bungie's, hopefully not, but it might be their last gasp at, staying alive.
I'd be curious to see if they get sold to somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Or just go independent,
or just get broken up into pieces by Sony and have
the Marathon Company.
Have the devs sent to different places. This game, and I don't know anything of this, may be an ignorant thing to say.
Yes,
but just looking at this game, I don't know if you remember this, but there was a game on the 360 called Brink.
Yeah. All I remember about Brink was just that box cover artwork, and I thought that looks kind of cool.
It was supposed to be like it was a Bethesda game published by but developed by Splash Damage. It was supposed to be like I thought it was a multiplayer. Yeah, included Valve anti-cheat. It was like sort of like, I swear that it was supposed to be one of those hybrid story-driven but online games. Maybe I'm wrong. Leave a comment if I'm misremembering this. I probably am. But it had this sort of like aesthetic. This like, I remember the character designs were weird, but like it had this like future world and like I don't know. It just kind of, I get the same vibes as this with Marathon, and this was a gigantic failure. Ex-girlfriend bought this when we were living together. She tried to play it and she did not like it.
Okay.
But she was excited about it because of the online factor in it, and then it didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, especially when you get online and there's nobody in the lobby except yourself.
Right.
So you're like, hey, the lobby, the UI looks nice.
Right. So, anyhow, well, yeah, I guess it remains to be seen what happens to Bungie and what happens to Marathon. But hopefully this will turn into something really special and we'll all get excited about it.
Yeah, maybe they'll blow our socks off. So, time will tell.